I always said that blanket training is not effective. Like, making a training program and push it down the throat of everybody in a department, in a maintenance department, is like highly inefficient. It's not working. And then I got, a lot of counter arguments and people saying, well, I guess at the end of the day, it's like the convenient thing, right? It's just checking a box. Mm-hmm. And everybody kind of goes with this flow, right? And nobody really wants to take the time and see, okay, we think that this is what our employees should know, but are we really taking the time to ask them, like, what would they like to do? It appears like, it's exactly what you did. So first of all, I wanted to hear, like, was this something that came from you? Was it like in a company culture when you got there, you basically were just a part of it, right? And secondly, in your personal opinion, right, and professional opinion, like how much more effort or how much better is it like doing personalized training, like listening to what your trainees and mentees wanted to learn versus just telling them, like, this is what you got to do, right? Giving them a curriculum and just say, okay, this is what we're going to teach you. Like, what's the benefit of it? And is it like really a lot more work to do, like personalized, than just go with the regular, standard thing for everybody, standard training? I'm super curious about your take on those
Adrian,
issues.
I also want to add this because I think your question is amazing, but how do you also keep up to date with all of this? So how do you keep everyone engaged? I'm on the same boat as Adrian. I want to know.
All right. So the answer to all that is yes. And that's the thing. It's no. I do. In a lot of my classes, because sometimes some of the classes I've done over the years, it's not just for maintenance. It's for office or regional people that manage maintenance people, right? So I have a class, maintenance is from Mars, office is from Venus. And I talk about how we communicate differently and what we need to really get our job done. I ask that question all the time. Do you ask your people what they would be interested in learning? We're not, and this is human nature, it's not just maintenance that I've come to find out. Everybody is not very willing to speak up and say, this is what I am not good at. This is what I don't know how to do. If you know your people and you know their skills, you build on it. The thing is from the mentor program, right? So my maintenance mentors, once I had enough of them in certain areas, I had people who were seemingly specialists in some things, right? So they would take, if they had, say they had two maintenance mentees in the area. Well, what we would do is we'd also take, because once we got that program up and started, and I did not really anticipate this, there was a backlash from the people that we already had. There's like, well, you're doing this for all these people, but you're not doing this for all of us. And I was like, oh, wow, people are really starting to be interested in this, right? So how do I bridge that gap? So what we did was, once again, knowing what your people know and knowing what they don't, and putting them in the positions. Like if you have a maintenance supervisor and he's an HVAC ace, he's changing his own condensers and evaporators and, his air, he's doing it all and does it proficiently and does very well. Why would you send that person to an all-day intermediate HVAC class? They're not going to get anything out of it. They're not going to be engaged. But then sometimes that, for lack of a better word, negativity, it will spread to the people who really do need to go to that and learn. And be like, this class is BS. Well, yes, for you it is, but for them it's not. So don't let them have that opportunity to do that. Like, put them into an advanced class or put them into something else. But what we found out is especially when we got into the, say, appliance repair, because that's where a lot of us struggle. Well, I found that, hey, we had in some areas, we had a space where we had a small training center. Other places, we'd have a very large property. It had a lot of storage space where we would, utilize like an extra garage or something. I always knew that it's not a good idea to put 30 people in a room and show them one refrigerator. It doesn't make sense. But if you can put, say, 3, 4, 5 people in a very intimate setting and take that appliance apart and talk about each part. This is what this is. This is what this does. when this falters, you can expect this to do this or not do this, or this is what it's going to do. While you are training your mentees in, on refrigerators or dishwashers or whatever else, you're also bringing in some of your current staff. And as soon as they go through it, they see it because they already have some familiarity with it because they've been working in maintenance for quite some time. But man, they didn't know that, this is what a float switch actually does, or this is what a defrost timer actually does. Yeah, we are starting to have to make that change. We're changing where the dishwashers now have motherboards instead of timers. But you have to evolve a little bit. But the cool thing about this is the philosophy is much the same. What does it do? What does it not do in these situations and things like that? And then taking it a step further, while you're doing all this, you have some properties that are unique. A downtown property in Los Angeles is much different than a garden style community in San Diego, right? So sometimes you even need to do specific training at those properties or those types of properties. And you just have to, the biggest thing is being able to make the time to do it and doing it in an efficient manner. So I found that once we started that program, and it was solely focused on the mentors and the mentees, but then we found a way to wrap in our current staff and make it beneficial for them. And that was the thing, is back in the day, you just had to know, oh, this person already went through this before. But now we've got, with technology and a lot of cool stuff that we now have, digital checklists that if they attend a certain type of class, you can check it off, and you don't make the mistake of sending them there twice, or those types of things. And so that is something also that I learned along the way as this type of program has really taken shape and evolved.
I hear a lot about changes. What are some key changes you've observed in service operations within the multifamily industry in 2023 compared to previous years? And are there any emerging trends that you think we should be looking at or that we should be aware of?
We as maintenance technicians and maintenance people, we have to acknowledge that the world around us is evolving, right? So we're currently also in the middle of, I am distributing iPads, cellular iPads, to everybody. We're taking some of the iPads that we had that were just Wi-Fi, and what we're doing is we're bringing those in, reconditioning them, and then actually distributing them back out to our porters. Because some of the stuff that they are now doing, it's not as crucial for them to be on, have the live data as we go. But if they're doing their checklists or they're doing those things, they can download those things. They now have a device to where they can get their own emails. They can go through their own classes, because as we know, and what has been happening in our industry up to now, maintenance got on the computer when no one else was there if they didn't have a computer in their shop. So we were always at the mercy of having to come in early or stay late or do it on lunch or just when someone else wasn't there. And by giving people that kind of tool, we make it more accessible for them, which is a big deal.